It's really interesting because I think our society is so geared towards what looks good. And it's almost like there's pressure on looking like things are perfect. And the one thing I will say with my almost 36 years advising wealthy people is that there is no such thing as a perfect family. In fact, I truly have come to believe that the things we go through are really all about the evolution of our soul. Hi, I'm Annette Ba'u, host of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast and founder of the Millionaire Insider. My mission is to help you simplify the money game so you can create a financially secure and fulfilled life without having to have a PhD or spend countless hours on your finances. You're going to learn how to think like a millionaire, stop worrying about money and wondering if your financial house is truly in order, and instead spend your time doing what you love. With over 3 decades advising 7, 8, and even 9-figure millionaires, and now joining that elite group, I'm in a unique position to help you make the best financial choices so you can create a secure financial future and retirement you love. This is the Wealth Inside and Out podcast. Today's free resource is our residual income guide. You can go to themillionaireinsider.com/RIG. When you have guaranteed income, especially monthly guaranteed income, you have less stress, which generally equates to better mental health. There are several types of residual and passive income, and this guide is going to show you the different options so you can determine what works best for you in your situation. You can go to themillionaireinsider.com/RIG. For today's show notes, you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/112. MillionaireSeries.com copyrights all materials and intellectual property. This information is for educational purposes only. It is not intended to replace any specialist or advisor or provide any investment, financial, tax, retirement, planning, or healthcare advice. By accessing this content, you agree to hold MillionaireSeries.com and its affiliates harmless for results achieved or not achieved. So let's dive into better mental health and money. So money can solve a lot of issues, right? I mean, I share that with you and I agree with that. But when it comes to mental health, it can add an element of support, meaning because you can afford to get the best support. It's something that impacts people regardless of where they are financially. Now, one of the things I find fascinating that I've seen throughout my life is like if a child has problems and the family has money, it's like, oh, well, they have money, as if because they have money, the child has problems. But then if somebody doesn't have money and somebody's saying, well, that child has problems, but then both of the parents were always working. It's so interesting how as society, we always make judgment calls on why people have mental health, when in reality, it can impact anyone. And what's so fascinating is that I see more and more issues with this. And I've had a lot of scenarios. In fact, I was thinking about it as I was preparing for this call, and I cannot literally think of one person who has not somehow been impacted or had to deal with somebody who had mental health issues, whether it's themselves, their family members, kids, parents, siblings, friends, almost a coworker. There are so many different scenarios. Many of us, most of us, have either dealt with it or are dealing with it. Now, I personally have had 2 extended family members that have died from mental health, and it's something that really needs to be taken seriously. I've had close family members who have struggled with mental health their entire life, and thank goodness they are doing well today. But the reality of it is that it can be a challenge when you are trying to navigate it because it's an area that, in my opinion, lacks the resources and really the knowledge needed to combat it. So what I want to talk about today are things you can do to not only support yourself to better mental health on your financial journey, but also to help those around you, loved ones, family, and friends that may also be struggling with mental health. So the first thing, which I think is the most critical, is you've got to fill your cup first. It's difficult, if not impossible, to help anyone if you are not grounded and at your best. And I know for me, even like dealing with my kids, where it might not be a mental health crisis, but something happens. If I am lacking sleep, not eating well, not taking care of myself, I am so much less tolerable and I'm shorter. I get frustrated quicker, all those things. And studies have shown it. And I think most people would agree that when our cup's full, we do better. We have a longer fuse. We are calmer. We're able to look at the situation and be somewhat detached. It's amazing what happens. So let's talk about some ways in which you can get grounded, because I think that is critical. The first one is getting adequate sleep. I recommend that you get to bed between 9 and 10 p.m. Now, my ideal bedtime is between 9:30 and 10. I don't always hit it, but I do know I do really well when that is my goal. And even if I'm not to sleep until between 10 and 10:30, I'm much more relaxed and I wake up feeling more refreshed. Now, ideally, you want to wake up without an alarm clock. If you're going to bed at 10:30 or 11 and your alarm goes off and you are so tired, you've pushed the snooze button, that tells you you're not getting enough sleep. So I encourage you to figure out what time you need to go to bed so you can get adequate sleep. The second one is to stay hydrated. Drinking 50% of your body weight in ounces of water is so important. Now, if you work out or you live in a dry climate, you may need to drink more. Always check with a qualified healthcare provider. But I do know that drinking adequate water helps everything from your digestion, your mental health, everything. So make sure you're hydrated. If you're drinking beverages such as coffee, it can actually dehydrate you. Number 3, you want to eat a healthy diet. One of the best books I think that was ever written, and I don't even know if it's still in publication, is Sugar Blues. And it's all about how sugar basically causes depression. There are so many studies that show advantages of eating a no or low sugar, low carb diet in the areas of mental health and how you feel, the energy you have. Since I've stopped eating sugar, I have blood sugar issues like most people. It used to be 1 in 4 has type 2 diabetes and they don't even know it. Now it's 1 in 2. So if you don't know, you need to go get your A1C checked out because so many people have blood sugar issues. But the reality of it is you just want to see what you need to do as far as your diet to show up at your best. And what I encourage you to do, if you think, oh, no, I don't have any problem with it, just do a fast without any sugar and just really cleanse out your body and kind of see how you're feeling. And make sure that you really, truly are honest with yourself. If you go back and start eating sugar and you start feeling more agitated, depressed, like you're frustrated more easily, whatever it may be, then it's probably a good sign that you need to reduce or eliminate it. The key is lean protein, non-starchy vegetables, healthy fat. If you're going to eat carbohydrates, make sure that they are complex, not short-term, because short-term just basically turns into sugar. And, I didn't even realize I had a problem because I didn't eat a lot of sugar. What I had a problem with was I was eating way too many carbs because carbs is in everything. Like my favorite food was popcorn. Oh my God. That's like pure sugar. I had no idea. It's so funny how we know so much about some things and then others we know so little about. Sugar is a problem. And they actually say if they were to go for approval with the FDA for sugar, it would never pass. That there are studies that actually show sugar is more detrimental to you than cocaine. Now, I don't have the studies in front of me, but I've heard them. The bottom line, my friends, is sugar is not your friend. And especially if you need to be in the right mental state to either improve your mental health or people you love. And one of the things I want you to think about as we're going through this is the fact that, when you're at your best, it's easier to make better decisions. It's easier to make decisions that impact your money, to do the things you need to do. Whereas when you're feeling really drained or exhausted, it's so much easier to just go spend money or to get off your plan, whether it's your diet plan, whether it's your money plan, whatever it is. All right, number 4, meditation. I find meditation to be a game changer. Now, I have always practiced a lot of inner game work, be it yoga, silent walks, positive prayer, visualization, affirmations. I will say this much. I truly believe that meditation is and should be a core staple to everyone's mental health routine. And I'll tell you why. I went to an event. I've gone to different events, but I went to an event held by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he's basically a meditation expert. He's done a lot of research, as a lot of doctors have, in the areas of how meditation can impact you, from changing your blood, even changing breast milk, genetics, brain waves, neural pathways, health. It's amazing. And I actually kind of went because I was really kind of interested, just because I've practiced so many inner works my whole life. I was like, okay, this can't be that good, right? And it was so funny because I always go online and like look at the critics, and they're like, oh, pseudoscience. And then one guy said, all he wants to do is try to help you hijack your brain. And that's what got me really interested, because I thought, God, there's a lot of us, myself included, that really could use a hijack of our brain, right? One of the things I love about what he teaches is really getting in that emotional state. I've been talking about this for years, getting in that emotional state you want to live in. Peace, gratitude, flow, calmness, and experiencing it now. My friend, that's the key to being able to enjoy your wealth once you get it. So it's so important. The reality of it is that it's so critical that we get into the driver's seat of our life, because that's what allows us to create a life we love. And, everyone thinks that money is going to solve their issue. And believe me, money does solve a lot of issues, but it's not going to bring that peace of mind, that calmness, that flow, that grateful heart, that calm heart, that peaceful heart that we all crave. So I encourage you to practice meditation and just see if it works for you. Now, the other thing I got to say about this event I went to. So I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know. 2 days I can probably do, but it's like, I've never been diagnosed with ADHD, but I think sometimes I have it. And especially if I'm in some training and I'm like, oh, this is really getting boring. I was so fascinated. He went like 10 hours a day. I could have gone another 10 and I wouldn't even have noticed it. And I drug my husband along, and my husband, who's like, didn't want to go at all, he's like, that was amazing. And actually, we're both going to probably go to a 7-day. It was that powerful. But what was so fascinating to me, the fact that I thought a lot of the people that would be there would have been not very healthy, because he does a lot with helping people heal themselves. And there were a few people that clearly had some health issues. But what I was so fascinated by is that I met so many people, and literally all of them were just wanting to get better, wanting to take their life to the next level. And I just love that. So again, you got to figure out what works for you. Before you make a judgment call on anything, try it out and see how it works for you. See how it fits. I can remember one of my multimillionaire clients said to me when I poo-pooed something, he said, Annette, before you make a judgment call on something, go try it and test it, see if it works. And it was just like an eye-opener. It was like I grew up in an environment where it was like very black and white. That's good, that's bad. And it's like, says who? Obviously, if you're doing something wrong or you're harming somebody, yeah, absolutely. But in this scenario, it wasn't that at all. So again, just test before you judge or before you discount something. All right. And then number 5, working out can be a great way to really ground yourself or to really feel better. As you know, I started weight training a few years ago. Do I love weight training? No, but I am so strong and I feel so good when I'm not working out that it just keeps me going back. And now that even when I'm working out, it's kind of funny because it's not nearly as hard as it used to be, but I just know how well I feel. Yoga is so powerful, especially restorative yin, where you are actually stretching the fascia, which is in between your bone and muscles. Now, it's hard. I'm telling you, initially it's going to be really hard, but oh my gosh, it's a game changer. I do restorative yin every morning, as you know, about 20 minutes of it, 20 minutes of Kundalini, and then about 10 minutes of just a meditation. And it is just a game changer. I do it literally every day. And then we go to 2 or 3 yoga classes a week. It's just so helpful to me to be at my A game. Visualization, seeing what you want. As I share, I've visualized my 3 homes. Visualization is such a powerful tool. I encourage you to use it to ground yourself and to get really clear on what you want and to manifest what you want. And then affirmations. Possibly the best is I am enough. All right, so number 1, you've got to fill your cup first. Number 2, get professional help. Now, if you need to get it for you, even if you're not the one struggling with mental health, I know personally that when I've had challenges in my life and I've had a therapist who has helped me, it's made such a difference. Obviously, if it's not you and it's a family member or friend, do what you can to help them get mental health support. Sometimes that can be hard. Now, if they're suicidal or they could harm themselves or someone else, then you can actually force them to get help or call 911 or call a suicide hotline. Get help. It's not a joking matter. It's so critical. A good mental health expert can make such a difference. I encourage you to ask for referrals. Consider a therapist who may or may not be a psychologist. You could also choose a psychologist and or a psychiatrist who can actually prescribe medicine. Some people need to be on medicine. When I was younger, I was really against medications, but what I've come to realize is that it has saved people I know's life. It can be really powerful if a person needs it. So don't discount that. And then number 3, you want to find your joy. And I think this is good regardless of where you are, but it's going to help you have better mental health, whether or not you struggle from depression or anxiety or fear or whatever it may be. Now, for me, being in nature, and a lot of my friends, same thing, it just grounds me like instantly. Practicing yoga is a huge one. Meditation, as I've discussed. Spending time with positive friends and family. Positive prayer. If you have a positive church, a supportive church, that can be huge. Painting for some people, artwork, reading inspirational articles or books or self-help. Gardening. I find gardening to be so relaxing. Really, my friends, anything that makes your soul feel good, your heart sing, or just makes you deep down just feel more complete. I really encourage you to take a minute and determine what gives you joy. All right, so in closing, I want you to know, first of all, that you're not alone. I know how hard it is to have a loved one who suffers. And a lot of times it can feel really helpless or hopeless. And the reality of it is the first thing we got to do is make sure we're okay. And then what we've got to do is do what we can to make sure they're okay. And again, if you feel that you could be at risk or someone you know could be either to harm themselves or someone else, you've got to get professional help. You can call 911 or you can hire a mental health expert or even call a mental health hotline, but don't delay, my friends. It's really interesting because I think our society is so geared towards what looks good. And it's almost like there's pressure on looking like things are perfect. And the one thing I will say with my almost 36 years advising wealthy people is that there is no such thing as a perfect family. In fact, I truly have come to believe that the things we go through are really all about the evolution of our soul. It's a matter of the lessons we need to learn and why we're here to improve what we need to improve. And once I got that, what I found was a lot of my judgment went away. And it's like saying, oh, their life's perfect, but their life's not. Before we judge what's good or bad, we need to just take an inventory of our own life. And I think it's so easy for us to look at something and make assumptions. And the reality of it is that we've got to make sure we're in the right frame of mind and that we are being the best we can be and doing what we can to support those around us. And I think sometimes, especially those of us that are women, sometimes we put too much out there to support other people. And we've got to remember to, first of all, support ourselves so we can be the person we need to be to not only support ourselves, but to support others. So let's recap. Number 1, you got to fill your cup, whatever that looks like. I shared what it looks like for me, but yours could be different. But filling your cup is so important because you're going to make better decisions. You're going to make better decisions when it comes to helping somebody else with their mental health, as well as with your money. Bottom line, you can't get away from that one. Number 2, get professional support, either for you or your loved one or both. A therapist. I had a therapist almost my entire life, and it's been the best decision I've ever made. I've had coaches. I've had a lot of support. And that, my friend, is why I'm where I am today. And hopefully you can take that to make sure you're getting the support you need. And then number 3, find your joy. It goes a long way to helping you create a really solid foundation. So I encourage you to just start where you are, start taking action and do what you can. You're going to be so glad you did. And more importantly, you're going to start feeling better. It's interesting. I've had a lot of people that I have encountered, met with, friends, family, clients. And I've had people who have struggled with depression and anxiety their entire life. And once they got on the right medication, they were different people. And my friends, don't wait until you get to the point where you're so depressed or you're so anxious or fearful or whatever it may be. Now, I know that I was feeling a lot of anxiety at the beginning of the year. And I think a large part of it was political, because I just had so many clients bringing me so much information. I'm like, I don't want to know. Like, it's so disturbing. And I was feeling so anxious, and I was finding myself feeling worried. And once I started my meditation practice, it's just like gone away. Now, that may or may not be the case for you. You may need medication. I even thought, if I don't feel less anxiety or less stress, I'm going to consider going on medication. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Thankfully, now that I meditate, I literally meditate. My husband and I both, we meditate in the morning and the evening, and I just feel like a different person. It's amazing. And even when I've gone through really tough times, as far as stress goes, I am still so much calmer, and I don't even feel close to the level of anxiety I was feeling. So I encourage you, my friend, just try it out, see what works for you, and then more importantly, take action. I'm Annette Ba'u. All international copyrights are reserved. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now. If you love the content of this podcast, please follow and subscribe to our channel so you get notified of episodes, and also give us a 5-star review and share a comment. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on taking another step to create a financially free life you love. If you're not sure about your financial future, or that it's in order, or you are ready to stop worrying about money, or possibly the fear of becoming a bag lady, ending up broke in retirement, or you simply are ready to know your financial house is in order so you can have a bright financial future, please go to themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. And that doesn't stand for non-sufficient funds. It stands for Next Step Finance. It's the next best step of what you need to do so you can avoid an NSF notice in your future. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. The number of women who were not broke or poor while working or married is staggering. The entire mission of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast is to ensure you have the information for you, your family, your friends, anyone who's willing to listen to it and apply it so that you can create a financially free life you love. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. Until our next episode, take one action that will help you create a financially free life you love. I'm Annette Ba'u, your host. All international copyrights are reserved. Bye for now.